Many directors have their go-to actors that they frequently collaborate with. Scorsese has De Niro. Spielberg has Hanks. Burton has Depp. The Coens have McDormand, Goodman, Buscemi, Totoro, Clooney, Hunter, Simmons, Brolin, and many more. Having such a reputable roster of actors that keep wanting to return to set shows both the talent and friendly nature of the Coens.
So you don't want a sex change?
Oh, no. I am all woman.
McDormand, their most frequent collaborator, is in a total of 8 of their films in some capacity. She has appeared in Blood Simple, Raising Arizona,
Right! You take that dapper off your head. You put it back onto your sister.
Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, Fargo, The Man Who Wasn't There, Burn After Reading, and Hail Caesar, and starring roles in 6 of the 8 films. Blood Simple was an important film for many reasons in the lives of all involved. It was McDormand's feature film debut, it was the Coens' directorial debut, and it introduced Frances to Joel Coen. She initially turned down the role, which enticed the Coen brothers to go after her and convince her to take the part. They married soon after the film finished filming in 1984, with her wedding ring being the same ring Joel's ex-wife used to wear. Apparently, McDormand didn't mind. Her most famous role, in a Coen film or overall, take your pick, is Marge Gunderson in 1996's Fargo. She embodied the character of the pregnant police chief who thinks miles above her coworkers at the station and earns her happiness at the end of the film after she catches the bad guys and is able to go home to her stamp-designing husband and celebrate the humdrum life they always wanted. She won her first Oscar for Best Actress in a leading role for Fargo and would go on to have a very successful career in film.
I guess you think you're, like an authority figure? That stupid fucking uniform, huh, buddy? King clip-on tie there, big fucking man, huh? You know, these are the limits of your life, man. Rule of your little fucking gate here. Here, there's your $4, you pathetic piece of shit.
Steve Buscemi has a total of 6 collaborations with the Coen brothers duo. 5 of those are consecutive within the Coen filmography. Buscemi's first appearance in a Coen film was in their 1990 neo-noir gangster film, Miller's Crossing. Buscemi apparently got the role of Mink in part due to his ability to speak faster than anyone else who auditioned. Fast talking was essential to the character. After Miller's Crossing, Buscemi teamed up with the Coen brothers again to make Barton Fink. This 1991 psychological thriller is one of the films that features the most Coen reoccurring actors in one story. Buscemi is joined by Frances McDormand, John Goodman, John Polito, and John Turturro, some of the most common collaborators with the Coen brothers, as well as Coen newcomers like Tony Shalhoub, John Mahoney, and Michael Lerner, who all end up in other Coen films later on. Steve Buscemi follows up his performance in Barton Fink with roles in the next 3 Coen brothers films: The Hudsucker Proxy in 1994, Fargo in 1996, and The Big Lebowski in 1998. After that, 8 years and 4 films separate Buscemi from the Coen empire, until his appearance in the Coen short film Tuileries for the Paris I Love You anthology project in 2006. A running joke between the Coen brothers and Buscemi is what is known as the ever-decreasing Steve. This refers to the fact that in 4 of Buscemi's first 5 films with the Coen brothers, less and less of his character remains by the end of the film. Literally. In Barton Fink, he is assumed to have died in the hotel fire, but we last see him as a whole man. In Miller's Crossing, his body is dumped pretty intact after being shot, minus his face, which was blown off. Fargo takes the cake for the most graphic body dumped as his assassin and partner grinds up his minced remains in a wood chipper. All that is left is the scraps that didn't make it in the wood chipper before Marge steps in, and of course, all the goo that has been shot all over the snow. And while his death by heart attack in The Big Lebowski is probably the tamest, by the end, all that remains of Donnie Karabatsos is a coffee can of his ashes. Steve Buscemi has been in some of the Coens' most iconic and recognizable films. When you see the final product of their collaborations, it's no mystery why the Coen brothers continued to cast Buscemi to help tell their fun and unique narratives. Out of this collaboration, we've gotten some of Buscemi's most iconic and quotable roles, and all that's left to say on that is...
I am the walrus.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I am the walrus.
That fucking bitch.
John Goodman has appeared in 6 of the Coen brothers' films, making him tied with Steve Buscemi for the second most collaborations with the Coens. When asked about his first time meeting the brothers, he stated, "We had such a fun time hanging out with each other, I didn't care whether I got to work with them or not." His first movie with them was Raising Arizona in 1987, where he played a supporting character named Gale. He describes Gale as a criminal genius with a 2-digit IQ. Just 4 years later, he landed the role as Charlie Meadows, a jovial insurance salesman, in the film Barton Fink. He has gone on to mark this role as his all-time favorite character to play, stating, "My favorite character is Charlie Meadows in Barton Fink because he is very sympathetic for a man who was a snake. He was someone that I could sink my teeth into, a homicidal maniac, but kind of a nice guy. You don't get many of those." In 1994, although he didn't appear on screen, his voice did as a narrator in the film Hudsucker Proxy. Then in 1998, one of the most known was The Big Lebowski. Goodman stated, "I love Walter because that's what people scream at me on the streets, and I never get tired of it." 2 years later, he starred in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou as Big Dan Teague, a role that was clearly written with Goodman in mind. Lastly, and most recently, he starred in Inside Llewyn Davis in 2013 as Roland Turner. When asked about working with the Coens, he stated he very much enjoys working with them to the point he feels a tinge of envy whenever they cast a movie without him. All in all, he says, there are moments that they tell me to bring it down, but that's about it. Usually they let me just ramble on in front of the camera. It's a true joy working with them.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm blathering about. I've got information, man.
Jeff Bridges has been a good friend to the Coen brothers for over 20 years, playing perhaps their most recognizable character to date, the Dude. Bridges was born into a prominent acting family led by his father, acclaimed actor Lloyd Bridges. Prior to his role in The Big Lebowski, Bridges had already been a highly respected actor for many years. The Coens wrote the role with him in mind, basing the character slightly off of Jeff from the 60s. They even got a lot of the Dude's wardrobe from Bridges' closet. He fit the role perfectly and embodied the role of a man in which casualness runs deep. Years later, the Coens reunited with Bridges in their adaptation of True Grit. Bridges played the role of Rooster Cogburn, previously played by John Wayne in the 1969 adaptation. Ethan Coen stated, "There was no one else we thought of but Jeff for this role. We've wanted to work with him again ever since The Big Lebowski." Both Bridges and the Coen brothers stated that they completely ignored the 1969 adaptation and focused solely on the novel by Charles Portis. Jeff Bridges was often known for taking photos on set, which provides a unique look into the mind of the Coen brothers. He was one of the few people ever to witness a disagreement between the brothers. When filming the Gutterball dream sequence, Bridges recounts hearing Joel and Ethan argue over the Dude's reaction to hitting the bowling pins. Joel wanted the Dude to wince, while Ethan wanted him to continue smiling nonchalantly. Bridges states that the two brothers discussed for a few minutes, then agreed to film it both ways.
So what's your point, huh?
These actors are just a few examples of how genius the Coen brothers are when it comes to their casting. The way they run their sets gives the actors an environment where they feel comfortable enough to truly bring out their best, and it makes for memorable characters and outstanding movies. Just remember,
The Dude abides.